Hello out there. This is page 19 in part 2 of Shrimp of the House Recall. Doo-doo-doo. Okay, this is going to lag apparently. There we go. Okay. So what I'm doing, let me set the limits so this is easier. So what we're doing here is sort of finally getting to that point where the kids kind of start taking advantage, start making fun, etc., etc. What are we looking at here? Da, da, da. There. Let's raise this up a little bit. Oops, the other way. I think I want this one. And that one, and then let's put the thumb back a little bit. I'm not sure if I'm not sure how much he's going to be in. Let's position him anyway. I think, does he have. Oh, okay. I remember the thought I was between focusing on the work here and thinking of a bunch of other stuff. I forgot like one of the points I was going to make with this, but it's the idea, sort of the idea in this one. Like I think I've said before, that I'm sort of thinking of the original Shrimp of the House in kind of deciding what I want to do with this. One of the themes in the original Shrimp of the House was was that Alex, as the oldest one, was sort of like just assuming some of the adult responsibility in that one, in that story. Hmm. Oops, I didn't want to do that. Edit, paste as new layer. The idea that like with David's sort of voice in the house fading out, Alex was stepping in and being the dad. Just like he was always looking out and protecting David. So let's see. Oops, we got a cat. Hmm. In here, let's see. I'll let you get to work then. Let's see. Ugh, I need a transition line. I need to. But I want the apple. I want him to say something like, let's see. Okay, I get it. At least you were nice enough. No, I don't like Brain to get me an apple. So what I want to do in this one, in this story, to sort of call back to that subtly, is that as he gets smaller, Jackson kind of takes advantage of him to sort of torture him and teach him a lesson and all that stuff. And I think Aiden will probably have like Aiden grabbing him a few times to force him to play with him. It's like he'll be kind. He'll hope he's going to kind of hope that Alex steps in to rein in the siblings again, but because Alex thinks he's disappointed in him, he's got himself locked in his room most of the time, and he's going to be nowhere to be found when David like wishes he was there. Okay, we're going to cut Sean out of it. Oh man. Hmm. Let's see if I can scale this a little smaller to get some more room at the top. I know I scaled the top and bottom panels at 34, but if I go 33, they'll still... Oh, shoot. Okay, I'm an idiot here. Actually. Ugh. Okay. it sort of becomes kind of force of habit, and I'm just used to sort of designing the images that way, that designing the images so that more of the top and or bottom get cut off when they go on the page if they're a top and bottom panel versus a center panel. Now let's see. How about this one? Control C. So it's kind of with Alex. It's like it's sort of like that saying that you don't know what you've got until it's gone. Let's see. Whoops, I got the wrong zoom. Problem with these one word. Actually, you know what? Let's increase the size just a little. The problem is these word bubbles. The little tail is kind of big to be. It's kind of big for a one word bubble. So when I do this whole cut and paste thing, I usually have to sort of either make the bubble bigger than I usually would have, or I really have to hack it down to the pixel level. Instead of just eyeballing it like with the larger bubbles. Okay. Merge down. Now let's zoom out. I think that's where I'm working, right? Oops, I need you, and I think I'm going to cut it here. He says, and this apple is sort of a throwback to the babysitter, where, like, at least for me, the apple became a running gag. The idea that it was like just something so mundane and yet it keeps popping up. Um, oh, look, you saved the apple. Like an element that like should never have come back, and yet it just kept coming back. Undo. Hey. Um, that said, one of the things I'm kind of fearing in a more general sense, not so much right here in this moment on this page, but probably should have scaled up that apple a little bit. Hmm. But one thing that I'm kind of afraid of is that sort of 12 stories into this universe, if I count Simon's Lament, is that you sort of fall back too much on self reference. Yeah, let's use that picture. I think you see it in The Simpsons where they've been going, what, 30 years now? And there's a lot of throwback to to different points in the series. There's a lot of self sort of, sort of like a lot of jokes made at themselves over longevity and that sort of stuff. And I have to say, like, it's not just The Simpsons, but I've been, you see we've seen the same things, like with the James Bond franchise since the Pierce Brosnan years, where it's just this constant referencing and allusion to previous movies. Like the one, I forget which of the Pierce Brosnan ones. Um, Let me get this word down before finishing that. Like, we gotta size this down, back down to 10. So I forget, I forget off the top of my head which movie it was, but there's like one movie where he goes down to the basement to see Q, and like there's a little gadget from each one of the previous movies sitting in the little lab, and he kind of plays with a few of them to draw attention to it. Or like the scene where Halle Berry is coming out of the ocean in a bikini that's reminiscent of, I think, was it Ursula Andress? And it feels like even going into Daniel Craig, where they're trying to do something different, it seems like you can still find sort of these self references, and it reaches a point where it gets awkward and annoying and distracting, actually. And that's kind of my fear right now. Is not so much, and I know in the last two or three stories I've been kind of pointing out on page where previously in the series they're making a reference to, and that's not quite what I mean. Like when they talk about, like probably in part one where he talks about throwing away the page, and I put in the little note occurred in Trump of the House, blah blah blah. That's not what I mean. it's kind of, I think the point I'm sort of trying to get at here is a little different from kind of respecting canon and sort of using the past to build on the present. It's more of like this apple is a throwback to this apple is supposed to be like one of those just self references to. Okay, we're gonna have to edit cut. Okay, this is what. See, when I was looking at this one, I was afraid it was too far this way, and I wasn't even paying attention at the bottom. Okay, so we're gonna have to redo this one. It's it's not so much like building on previous canon as I was saying, but sort of these little subtle references. It's like I'm afraid these are going to creep in a little more this far into the series. I got that right? Yeah, okay. Let's mark that down. So I have to say, in the first part of this story, I was really tempted. Here I am. I'm trying to think of a thought, and I'm not paying attention. Invert, shrink. In the first part of this story, I was really tempted to have him find the size changer in the vegetable drawer of the refrigerator. A reference to a joke in an earlier story. Mom, where mom hid the size changer in a place that dad would never look, the vegetable drawer. That sort of thing. Well, you know what? I don't want this sitting on the line, so but it's again, I didn't want to go too heavy on the throwbacks, and I just had him find it in the dresser drawer. I.e., she keeps hiding it in the same places. Oh my god. Let's see. What do I want currently used? Okay. I think I want to grab this one. Let's go Control C, edit, paste as a new layer. Get your own apple. Whoops. I guess I should have. I guess I should. See, so here's where he starts guilting him. He steals his apple. It's like, oh, I guess I should have known you wouldn't do anything nice like this for me. After all, I'm not Aiden, am I? Question mark. Let's see. How's that do? I think it's gonna be one of those where I'll never get the box. I'll never get this to square up in a way that makes me happy. Edit, paste as new layer. Oops. Merge down. It's what the heck? And it's like there's always. I think with like any project, there's always one thing story wise that sort of makes me kind of makes my mind stick. Let's see, open his layers. It's, there's always something uncertain in the story that kind of makes me procrastinate while I try and figure it out. Kind of like stalls the progress in the story. While I wrangle with it in my mind. And like one thing, oh, you know what? Shoot. I could have done the bottom tail anyway. I hate when that happens. Let me see. Where is this thing? Oh my god, this is a mess. Okay, let's see if this will work. I don't like that. Oh well, we're gonna. I think instead of redoing this, we're gonna cut the little tail out. And then I can go layer, transform. Let's see, that way. Put it down here. Okay. And then we're just going to go, let's grab the main layer. So I don't need to grab that much. Control C, edit. It says new layer. And then we'll just slide this down and it'll fill the hole. Right? Okay. Actually, no, hold on. Before I do that, I want to slide this over just a little bit. So it's kind of going back to that thought for a moment, that I kind of drifted away from. Sort of in this story, one of the things that's going through my head that's kind of giving me pause in this story is, while I kind of I expect this to be a longer story, sort of like in the 6 to 8 part range. Let's see, cut, edit, paste as new layer. There's the part of me that thinks that select invert and edit, cut. There's sort of the part of me that's like trying to pace out a lot of the stuff that I wanted to do with this story. But there's also the part of me that's afraid that I'm going to pace it out a little too much. And I'm going to find myself like 4, 5, 6 parts in and still like suddenly, have to cram it all in somehow. That apple is a little low poly, so let's not do a close up on it. I have a feeling I'm going to let's collapse all, make this easy. I'm just going to drop Jackson in there so I can get a good headshot without worrying about where he is. The head. No, let's keep down. Come on. Let's bring the eyes a little more center, but we'll keep them off center just a little. Just so it doesn't look like the same. Okay. It's not my net, and you know it. Oops. I guess, I know it's been like really dragging with this part as well. I don't really know why. I mean, I get the usual. Like I said, it's my head right now is fighting with this idea that I've got to, like I just explained, is fighting with trying to space certain elements while being afraid that blah blah blah. But other than that, I don't really know why this is dragging this part. It should not have been. I came into this strong. I mean, it really should have been done early to mid last week with this. At the rate I came out of the gate when I came into this part. It just is. It's got me a little nervous about switching back to Sister-in-Law for part 3 of that story right now. And I think too, where like I'm expecting this one to be somewhere between 6 to 8 parts, and Sister-in-Law to be just 4. I'm kind of thinking like right now in this moment, instead of bouncing back to Sister-in-Law for part 3, of sticking with this story for part 3 before going back. I.e., doing 2 parts of Recall and then going back. I think there. I am at the right. What I am going to do here at this moment in the story, the idea for this moment in the story, as I'm once again kind of bouncing around from ideas in my head here. The idea here is I'm finally going to give the reader some indication of the rate he's shrinking. Let's see, I gotta pop Jackson back into this. Oh my god, this file is becoming bloated. So it's not gonna be this page. It'll end up being the next page where sort of Jackson lets David go back to his room while he goes to his room with his friends. and it's sort of the point of view is going to shift from David into their room with the kids, and they're just for the sake of explaining it. That's where they'll talk about where Jackson will share to them that he's responsible for this. Let's see. Let's see. Side to side. Okay. Control C on that. Go ahead, I won't stop you. Kind of going back to a thought, kind of going back to something. That's kind of why I need to, I really need to move him a little smaller. So that I can reach the point where I can have the kids start sort of manipulating him, so to speak. On top of like what I've said in previous installments here, where I sort of want him to be small enough to be the fly on the wall without being big enough to speak up. So that I can like kind of properly integrate him into the two, without like the entire action of the story being away from his size change. Oh, I've got the picture. Jeez. Any other time I go working somewhere else, the picture pops up and interrupts what I'm doing. But when I'm just sitting here waiting for it, it doesn't do that. 34. I think. Hmm. You know what? Maybe I can. For some reason, I feel like. Nope. Okay. How am I this way? Oh, I got room on this side. Okay, there. Okay, now we gotta fit the word bubble. I mean, the words into the bubble. There we go. Save. Oh, shoot. I might have to take out the wall to do this. Delete. Now, do I have any of. Okay, no twisting. I'm just going to delete the keys on the head and start over. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to take this wall out because I want sort of a wide shot, but I didn't leave myself a lot of room on the page for this. Um, let's see. This is living room. Okay, left wall. Delete keys. Yeah, okay, that's not going to work. I'm not going to have it in front of his crotch. Oh my god. Okay, come on. And now somehow we could have fit Sean in. Let's see. I can just. Or you know what? I I could have just gone, taken the shot through the door frame, and left the wall in place. Oh my god! Stop that. Oops. Sean's foot is to the floor. So let's fix that. I think his foot is to the floor too. Come on. Now, is this really 17? Yep. Okay. Yeah, well, anyway. Let's see. Can I cut this here? Yeah, I guess that looks okay. Ugh. Oh no, I don't need to trim this width-wise, just height. Here we go. I want the apple anyway. At the parable of the fox with the grapes. They were probably sour. I want the apple anyway. Yeah, I don't know. I keep trying to think about what I want to do next, and it's probably too early. Sort of working on two projects side by side that are just like when I'm sort of easily distracted as if I'm burned out. It's probably too early, but I do think I want to do another one or two Shrimp of the House installments. But on the other hand, like I keep getting this increasing itch to work with new characters. And part of me wants to do another muscle growth story. It's like in my head, it feels like, it feels like it's been, it feels to me like it's been ages since I did a muscle growth story, even though Burn Pit wasn't really that long ago. And then it was the Iron Brotherhood before that. But, it just feels like it's been forever when when your focus is on the current project. Hmm. And I'm still going to have to spin the tail around. Edit, cut. Okay, so let's do this first. Layer the image size. Invert, invert, and cut. Just like none. Um, okay, that works. Like, I know I've done it before where I have the tail in the middle of the bubble, but like each and every time I do it, it always looks weird to me. So I'd rather not do it if I can. And in this case, just simply flipping it over works. So let's save, flatten, and export. And we'll hit enter. Export. Now, come in here, drop these in there, and well, at least you were nice enough to get me an apple. Hey, you can get your own apple, Jackson. So this wasn't for me? I guess I should have known you wouldn't do anything nice like this for me. After all, I'm not Aiden, am I? Not what I meant, and you know it. Then all you have to do is take it. Go ahead, I won't stop you. I didn't want the apple anyway. That's page 19. Um, I'm making. I think I'm like making so many videos with this part because it's helping with keeping me seated and focused right now. That I don't know if I'll probably end up calling one or two of these out. So I don't know if this one will make it. If it does, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it.